Welcome, students. Today is May 13th, 2026, and this is Digital Photography Discovering Your Creative Potential, Spring 2026. Today is lesson 15. We have one more lesson a week from today, May 20th, that will conclude the online sessions. From then, you've got, and we'll take a look at it, you've got a schedule and a final project, and I want to talk about that because the final project is a lot of your grade, and it's due, I believe, May 2nd. We'll talk about that. Make sure that everything gets done appropriately, and that you're not out of sequence there, or at a disadvantage time wise. You're going to take some time to get that done. Make sure it's done properly. If it's not submitted properly, if you didn't understand what the assignment was or decide to do it late, you've got issues. And so this is one you can't be late on. So talk to me, please, if there's an issue in timing, and I will continue forward. Okay. All right. So what are we talking about now? Some of the issues as we roll through the last modules. Let's talk about some of the things that we've discussed. We talked about wedding photography. The author chose wedding photography as a stock method of photography that's pretty common, and in an exceptional way to itemize and categorize a type of photography. And it's a beautiful setting. It's a happy setting, a joyous setting, and photography has become a very big part of wedding photography. So we talked about that, and various types of photography, photographers, and photography that occurs at a wedding, anywhere from a few $100s to many thousands of dollars in fees. There are wedding photographers that make executive level of money doing 2-3 weddings a month. And so it just depends on what the circumstances are and how all that works. And it's a very business driven, analytical discussion about how to have a wedding, what to do with the photography, and all that sort of thing. Becoming a wedding photographer, how does that work? And then choosing all the different formats and so forth is quite the experience. So at any rate, that is that dynamic. And those of you that turned in there's a couple of different Dropbox type assignments for wedding photographer. You did a nice job with that. I'm really happy with that. Thank you, and I appreciate that. And um, it shows that you've evolved over the semester, and you know what the assignments are asking for, obviously, and what I'm looking for. And but you did a nice job with that. And too bad you couldn't go out and shoot a wedding, but we're limited here. So but at any rate, that was a very important discussion. So thank you for that. And again, wedding photography is a specialization. Like doctors have specialties, teachers have specialties, um, you know, dentists, lawyers, any professionals have are prone to specialization, and that is also true with photography, that it's very specialized. And some people don't want to do that. They don't want to. Um, I've talked to people who said, I just don't like it. I don't like the wedding scenario, sitting there all day. And, they're always on evenings and weekends, and they don't like that concept. And so, or they just prefer to do a different type of work. So at any rate, good job with that. Okay. A couple of other things we're going to talk about today. What is art photography? Um, Fine art is including those artworks that are created primarily for aesthetic reasons, art for art's sake. Is art photography is thinking about photography that is created especially for the expression of beauty, contemplation, or commentary. And so art photography is what a lot of people do want to do. And you could be, those of it that you that have an artistic side, if you can be an artist, then a lot of people want to do that, and they're drawn toward that. So at any rate, displaying photographs in museums and galleries and that sort of thing can be a very excellent experience for those that choose to do so. So anyway, understanding those concepts and how that works is an excellent discussion and that kind of thing. So displaying a photograph, if you can do one and achieve that level of success, then that's great. Okay. All right. What's stock photography in the world today? Let's say you're a business owner. You can be a small mom and pop business, run the hardware store, or you could be a small clothing store or a deli or something like that. Maybe you can't afford to spend thousands of dollars to have pictures taken of your product, tens of thousands of dollars, which it might cost to do studio photography or product photography. So what a lot of people do is they use an internet web source, as an internet database, stock photographs that have already been taken that might be relevant or representative of what they're trying to advertise or display in their professional world. And so it could be, maybe you're writing a paper for a journal and you want a picture of a political event, or maybe you're talking about a daycare and you want a picture of a daycare or something like that. And so what photographers offer to the world, to the business world, is called stock photography. It's a supply of photographs that are often licensed for special uses. It began in the 1920s with film-based photographs. But what it has now is traditional macro stock photography, mid stock photography, and micro stock photography. The agencies charge from several hundred to several $1,000s per image. So let's say I want a lawnmower picture or something like that, and for my hardware store, or if I'm a clothing store, I want a stock image, and I'll show you a couple of those in a minute. But I can use something like that will help promote my business or further whatever activity is I'm trying to build up. And I'm just paying a few $100s rather than many thousands of dollars might fit my budget, and it might be greater suited to you. And there's also micro stock photography, where the images can sell for as low as 25 cents. So what a great opportunity for businesses to use an online database to find photographs that achieve their purposes for their business activities. So that's stock photography, and that's available. And we'll look at a couple pictures here in a few minutes. They traditionally place their images in stock agencies on a contract basis. The photographers do. Well, the stock agency might accept the high quality photos of amateur photographers through online submissions. So that's if you want to sell your photographs, then that's one of the things you can do. Then product photography then is the idea of creating various products to be used for advertising purposes, creating high quality visual content that showcases products in the best possible light. Usually involves taking well-composed, aesthetically pleasing images that accurately represent the product. The images are then used on e-commerce websites, social media advertisement, and marketing materials to attract and convert customers. So that is product photography. So we'll talk about how to take a picture of a photograph, and we'll talk about that. I'll show you a couple, and you can take a look at them, and we'll discuss those. Elements of photography in a lab or a warehouse type setting, with like a photo studio type setting, lighting, composition, background, camera settings are all critical. Okay. So lighting, you can have a black box or a white box. And when you see a picture of something, then it looks like there's no shadows, no glare, that's probably a white box. If you see a dark background and all you see is a person or a product in there, that's going to be a black box. And then so professional lighting, studio lighting, learning how to do that is all part of the the scenario. So and so lighting is critical. Composition, strategically placing the product and other elements within the frame creates a strong visual impact. One of the things in composition is that I've never done product photography for food, but they say you have to do the food like right now. You just have a few minutes. You put that burger on there, and in 10 minutes, it doesn't look the same. You know, everything when it starts to get cold, or like a salad, it starts to get warm, or any meal, you need to do it boom, 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 be ready to go, and have your lighting and everything ready to go, because that's how you photograph things like that. And if like coffee, or maybe a cocktail of some sort that's special composition, you have to do it right away. So just saying. The backgrounds, simple, common choices, white, gray, or textured backdrops can highlight the product. Okay, just like a digital background, like I have right here, makes me look like I'm in a deli or something. That is it highlights the product, and it highlights what you're trying to do. Camera settings, aperture, shutter speed, ISO, all contribute to the final product image. When you're using lighting, you have great flexibility with your camera settings. You can use the highest, lowest ISO, and the highest, high shutter speeds, because the lights will compensate for the lack of sunlight or artificial light otherwise. So the lights can be very bright and very highly focused, and it's a great way to do that. Okay. All right. Product photography. Okay. These are examples. I'm a tournament court player. Played mostly pickleball, but tennis, and was looking at some shoes the other day online, and I noticed these are done in a white box. This brand of shoes. So all you see is very light little shadow there, and so what it is. So it's a box with all the sides but one. And literally it has a top, sides, a back, and a bottom that's all white, and then the light shines into the box. Okay. And it comes from a couple different directions, so it kills the shadows. This one does have a very light shadow on the left hand side of the heel there, but this is product photography that relates to um, the athletic world. Okay. Brand being Adidas. Key light, fill light, backlight. So the key light is straight on, and then the fill light fills where the shadows go in the backlight. Sometimes you might backlight a product, but this one is not. It looks like from the right hand side. So the right hand side, maybe one flash boom with a flash box on it, and that's how that particular shot was taken. So I just wanted to throw that out. Here's another one that's pretty cool. This is a black box that may not be exactly black, and they might have used. So what they'll do is, this one doesn't show. I'm guessing that it was a drapery on the back that was a dark red color. It could be like a gray, and then the red might be the accent where but I'm guessing it's like a reddish gray color on the back, which is the color of the product. And so the product then is artistically presented, where where and you can see that the light then is from the left hand side. You can even see a reflection of the light. Okay, you can even see a reflection right there where I'm showing you on the one jar of whatever this is. I think it's like jalapeno. It's like a jalapeno, like a cherry sauce or something like that. But it's a food product, and it makes it look very attractive. Delicious and attractive. It's a very excellent display of this product. Okay. So here's one in the clothing world. I threw that in for you ladies that might have more interest in that than like tennis shoes or a food product. So here's one that was shown from a model, attractive model. When you're choosing a model, it isn't really are they pretty or are they handsome or anything like that. It's somebody that's aesthetically pleasing. Okay. Typically, in models in the world will be a little bit thinner than the average person of that of that size, and it just accentuates when you have a thin model. For whatever reason, photography tends to make people in this setting look a little bit bigger than they really are, and so historically, models have been taken to and been chosen by by their appearance, like this woman who's an attractive appearance. Frankly, I mean she's a nice looking woman, and her a very nice uh, physical display. So that what you'll do is you look at the model, and in your mind's eye, you're really looking at this top. Okay, and the brand I think is 4K, and you're looking at this top, which is, I guess, a workout type top. I don't know. I mean, a workout or casual wear, I suppose. And when you're looking at that, that's somebody that was shot in a studio with a gray backdrop or a darkish white backdrop, and shot with the flash or the lighting from the left hand side of the photographer to the right hand side of the model, which shows shadows on the left side of her face, but it clearly highlights the right side of her face, and then a montage of the product, um, you know, on her and off her, is this is what it looks like, and which is an excellent physical display of that particular practice. So that's how that's one of the ways that product photography is displayed. Okay. All right. Stock photos then. So here are some stock photos taken off of a website that I saw. And so these are photos you can buy. I don't know what these cost, but this was probably a mother or a teacher and a young child. I'm guessing it's a mother and child, but I don't know. And this would display a youth event or a family event or something like that. And something along that line. It could be a church event, let's say, could be a grade school, like a field trip, or something out in the out in the school grounds, that an event that would be had. And um, and and you're showing there. I think it's actually an athletic event where the mom or the adult is participating, and the daughter then will be watching. But it shows that display where you don't have to go recreate that and buy one, that you can take one off the stock list, and then that will suffice as your product or your stock photo, generating a product photo. Here's one for pets. Okay, so you have somebody. I think it's an artist and an easel, if I'm looking at that right, and you've got a cat, a beautiful animal, a pet that's attentive and watching what's being displayed on the easel, and you just wonder in your mind, what's the cat thinking, and why is the cat so beautiful and attentive and a lovely animal. And that's an example of a stock photo that can be shown for that purpose. Okay, so there's an example of another one. You can buy something like this if you want. Again, I don't know what they cost. I'd have to look. Here's one that is a bunch of flamingos doing what flamingos do, and I think they're flamingos anyway. And and it's, you know, it's a beautiful setting. It's obviously been cropped. It's from a telephoto lens. It's obviously been cropped. And if you display this as a background or display it as a you know, a mosaic, if you will, in a very large, you blow that up in a large format. There's a lot of things you can do with this picture, and um, it shows you know, a lot of different purposes for a picture like this, and the symmetry. They're all facing the same direction. They're all attentive as to what they're doing. You know, they're all you know, they all look alike. You know, the same coloring basically. A few or might be a little bit shade of, you know, color different, but that's another example of a photo that you can use. Okay. All right. So let's talk about, in our remaining time, let's talk about our final assignment. All right. You've got a couple of weeks. All right. So class 16 is next week. All right. So that will be on, see, the 20th. All right. And everything's due the 22nd. Okay. So our final assignment then, let's talk about that. Final assessment overview. Okay. Um, It's 25% of your semester grade, guys. Let's get this done. You guys are all in a good position to finish really strong and get a very good grade in this course. And I want you to finish it strong. What I don't want you to do is to spend all your time on other projects or wait till the last minute, other finals and whatever else you guys have. And I know this is not your only class, and I get that. I'm urging you to do that online. Maybe this weekend, do it ahead of time is what I meant to say. Maybe this weekend, start your project and get your core work done. Put it together when you do have time in between your other projects. Okay. It's like pretend you're in college and you're off alone somewhere at the school, the college or the university, and you've got end of semester things to do. Maybe you're on a sports team or you have an event that you participate in some way, shape, or form, and it takes a lot of time. You have to manage your time. I'm asking you to manage your time. All right. So the final assessment's photographic storytelling. So you're going to create a photographic series that shows how you live. Inspired by documentary photography, you're going to look at art that explores the relationship between man and nature, individual and cultural, the real and psychological, by also creating a series of your own. Step out into the real world. Man and nature doesn't really mean you and your family pet. I get it. That's part of it. But step out into the real world. Go out in your community and take a look around and that sort of thing. So we're going to talk about this again next week. But materials, camera, paper, pen, or pencil. All right. With the camera in the settings you feel most comfortable with, take a series of portraits of yourself that convey something to a viewer that you usually don't think about when it comes to your personality. Take portraits of all the members of your family that you would be interested in making portraits. Ask yourself, how do I want to picture these people? Okay. Make images of your neighborhood and its inhabitants. These could be friends or acquaintances, and include places, events, and architecture. How do the people around you look affect the way you look at your neighborhood and what is interesting to you? Okay. I need a slideshow presentation of 10 images telling the story of you, your family, and your friends. Okay. Frame your documentary series and put it on display. It's encouraged to do that. All right. Finally, a statement answering the following about your series. Okay. And then there's 4 bullet points to answer that. We're going to talk about this again next week. Okay. So as I close out today, I want you to know that you've got 2 weeks to do this, and it's 25% of your total grade. So I've had students that didn't really understand that you know, that um, it they didn't understand the value of it. So the second part of it is the final assessment. Photographic storytelling is worth 100 points. Submit your presentation and be sure to include a statement answering the questions below with your 10 images about clothing, about the reasoning, take into account the environment, analyze and interpret where the customs and traditions you captured could imply that the subject chosen in your imagery. Like if there's ethnicity you want to display, or if there's a uh, cultural event that you want to work on that's unique to your area or to you or to your family or your friends, go ahead and display that. Be creative and make it individualistic. If you guys knock this hard, you'll be rewarded for that. And so I'm asking you to do that. I'm asking you to take the time to do that and really do a good job. Okay. Talk to you next week. Submit your work. If you need anything, let me know. And please stay up to date and let's get this final done so everybody will finish strong in the semester. Thanks, guys.